Hello enemies and book lovers, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel, and I am here. I'm here. So I've been gone for about half a month now and I've hated it because I don't, pre-film videos, which I think might have been a lesson I learned this month, honestly. I got sick with the thing that's been happening in the past 2 years. I've been really doing nothing other than playing video games. Elden Ring is my addiction right now and my boyfriend's addiction right now. So we've been just playing a lot of Elden Ring. I'm kind of behind on my booktube videos, so if I haven't commented on your videos, I just haven't really had time. I've just been so sick. I'm still have a stuffy nose and I'm still coughing, and it's been, how many days has it been? Like 15 days. See, I am better. I got hit pretty hard with it, but thankfully I'm okay. My boyfriend's fine. He gave it to me. I've been safe for the past 2 years, but it had to come eventually. I forgot to mention, but this is my October wrap-up. This is a very late wrap-up for the month of October, which I actually did a really good job reading wise. November though, so far has been horrible. I haven't actually finished a single book and it's already halfway through the month. So I didn't get a lot of reading done this month, unfortunately. But in October, I did read a lot of books. I read 5 books total, 1 novella and 2 manga, so technically I read 8 books if you include the manga and the short story. So October was actually a pretty good reading month for me. I read pretty good books. A lot of them are really highly rated. I got like 2 5-stars, which I've only read 1 5-star in the entire year, so having 2 is pretty awesome. But I also had a 2.5-star read that I think is more like a 2. We'll get to that soon. So for October, I had 1 2.5-star book, 3 3.5-star books, 1 4-star book, 1 4.5-star book, and 2 5-star books. That's really good for me. That's a lot of books for me and a lot of high rated books. But we're gonna talk about least favorite to favorite, and this is gonna be, I'm hoping not to make this too long. I always make them too long. Oh. So my lowest rated book for the month of October is a 2.5 stars. Like I said, I kind of want to bring it to a 2. I don't know. And that is Cursed Fates, which is, I don't even know, what number is this now? The 5th one, I think. Cursed Fates, which is the 5th book in the Zodiac Academy series. This is by Carolyn Peckman and Susan Valenti, and this was a 2 or 2.5 stars. Honestly, this is a disappointment for me. When I started this series of Zodiac Academy, I didn't love it. The first book was Honestly, I wouldn't have kept going if I just didn't hear people say that it got better. So I read it, and then I read the 2nd book, and then the 3rd book, and then the 4th book, and as I went, it progressively got better. But the problem is, this book feels like it's going downhill again. It kind of feels like the first book, but like almost worse in a way. This is a really long series. This was supposed to be only 9 books originally, but now the authors, of course, are gonna milk it and for money, and they're gonna make a 10th book, which I despise. I hate when authors push series to make them longer just to get money. That's all this is, because this series, it just feels unnecessary a lot of the time. This book especially feels like that. The problem with this book is I have a huge review on my Goodreads, so if you want to read everything I don't like about it, go on my Goodreads, because I'm not going to ramble too much about it here. I will tell you the points in like a shorter format, but I will let you know why I didn't like it, but in like point form, because it would take me too long. The first thing is like the over dramatics. I feel like things are just getting dramatic for no reason. Originally there was like some little, things between the characters, between the twins and the heirs, but like it just feels so unnecessary at this point, where there's just so many things just being thrown at these characters, where it's just like, why? And these characters making just stupid decisions, and I just don't enjoy it at this point. It's just getting too much for me. I don't know if I'm going to continue the series at this point, which is kind of surprising. I do own the next book on Kindle. It was like $2 or $1, and I feel like I should read it, but these books also are like 800, 900, 1,000 pages near the end, and I just like, why is it so long? It doesn't need to be that long. I'm sorry if you like this book, this series, but I did like it. It just got too much. It got too much, and then I got annoyed, and as I was reading it, I was getting annoyed, and I think it just made me dislike it more. One of my first points in my review is Tori. Tori in this book is one of the twins, and she is so frustrating in this book. So in the last book, she makes a decision. I won't spoil anything, but she makes a decision. And in this book, she's just backpedaling on that decision. So she makes a decision, she's like adamant on it, and then like, I thought it was a stupid decision, but you know what, whatever. It's her own choice, okay? And I understand why she made that choice, but then she like just goes back on it, and it's so frustrating. Like, if you're gonna make a choice and like put your full chest out and say, this is what I'm gonna do, then fulfill that. Don't go back on it. It's just so annoying to me. She was just really frustrating in this book with her love interest. Gosh, it was so annoying. And I actually like her love interest the most. He's my favorite character. And I just feel bad for him. He doesn't need Tori. I feel like he deserves better than her. My second point in my review was Mildred. Mildred is a character who is supposed to be forced into an arranged marriage with Darius because he is a dragon shifter and they want to keep the bloodline pure. So Mildred is like the female character that's supposed to be forced into a marriage with him. And the way that she's described is so distasteful, I guess you could say. She's like given all these features in this book to make you just hate her. She's literally called ugly, and like every ugly description you can have of her is in this book. And it's just like really gross to me. It feels gross. This is like so frustrating to me to constantly keep reading about how ugly she is and all these things described as her. Let me read an excerpt of what actually is said about her in the book. Multiple things are said. This is just one of the few things. She described as broad, muscular framed, as if like she's masculine or something. Has a unibrow, a lion's mane, and frizzy brown hair that sticks up around her head. Her lower jaw protrudes further than her upper lip, making her look like a bit of a shih tzu. That's actually said in the book. And her upper lip has a coating of fine hair on it. I have hair on my upper lip too. You know, that's normal. That's normal. This is constantly brought up, by the way, like constantly her looks. Every time she walks into a room, everyone has to mention how ugly she is and why, and describes how she's like broad and like manly looking. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? Like, stop villainizing her just because she's rude, sure, but like, I just hated the way that she was portrayed in this book. It just frustrates me, okay? It kind of like makes her look bad to make the protagonist look better, I think, as like a love interest. So I don't know. I said I wouldn't rant, so I'm gonna stop now. Also make points of Geraldine. I think she's getting annoying. People love her, and it's unfortunate because I used to like her, but she's so often in this book now, and she's constantly just speaking, and I think that's the problem. I'm like, that's so mean. Geraldine is like a character who always speaks in like this weird kind of way. I can't even explain it, but it's the most annoying thing now. It's kind of getting on my nerves. I know people like her. I'm sorry if you like her. I liked her in the beginning when she was like in it once in a while. I was like, oh, that's funny. And then after this book happened, she's just constantly in it and saying all these weird things. And I'm just like, please stop. Washer is another character I hate. He's a teacher that's really creepy. Like, he's very predatory to his students. And I don't know why. Like, I hope that there's karma his way. Because if not, what is the point of this character? He is so creepy. Like, why did they add this teacher? Never mind. There's also friendship in this book between one of the twins and the opposite twin's love interest. I love their relationship. It is like the sweetest thing in this entire book. This is like the only good point I have on my review. I just love the relationship. I want to see more of it. It is so sweet. And the last point I had on my review is growling. This book is obsessed with growling. And I don't mind the word growl. I know like Sarah J. Maas and a lot of fae people, you know, like the fantasy romance world uses growling too much. And yeah, I agree, but I don't think it's a bad word to use. I actually don't mind it if it's used sparingly, but this book does not use it sparingly. I looked it up on my Kindle because obviously I have a Kindle, and if you search up certain words, it shows you how many words are used or how often a word is used. I wrote in my review that the word growl or growled shows up 250 to 280 times in this book alone, which means every 4 pages it is used at least once, if not multiple times. I actually saw the word growl used twice in the exact same page, and every 4 pages at least there's a word growl or growled, and it got too much. And you can read, when you're reading it, you can tell. This book, like the other books weren't that bad. This book was too much for me. The drama, the characters, it's getting frustrating. Also, another character just made a dumb decision, and I don't know why he did it. If you know, you know. Like the love interest for one of them did something, and now he's being stubborn, and I don't even care about him anymore. Like, I used to love his character, but now I'm like, you know what? You can just stay there, and you could just go away then. If you're gonna be like this little child and like be stubborn, just go away. Okay? Why do I care so much? It's a book. I have to remind myself this is a book. We're gonna move on from that because that's enough. And we're going to go on to my next book. And this is still 3.5 stars. This is still a pretty good rating. None of these books are bad. The only one was Cursed Fates, unfortunately. But other than Cursed Fates, I had a good reading month. So I would say, I guess, that the next book would be Glint by Raven Kennedy. This is the second book in the Plated Prisoner series. I thought I would like this a lot more. Oddly enough, I actually like the first book more. This book, I heard people say that they really enjoyed it, and it was okay. It was honestly okay. I feel like this book literally just followed the main protagonist, Orin, and it was just kind of her in a camp with other characters. Kind of just like, it literally was just the same setting the entire book. I feel like that, at least, right? Like, it's been a while since I read it, but I'm pretty sure that was the majority of this book. And it got a little bit bland, and like, I personally thought the romance was too fast. Is that weird? So I expected it to be a lot slower. And even then, it wasn't that fast, I guess. I'm just complaining, but I wanted it to be a slower burn. I didn't want them to be together at all, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I just had a hard reading month in the beginning, because I read this book and Cursed Fates near the same time, and maybe they like ruined each other. I don't know. The ending was really well done. I think the author Raven Kennedy did an amazing job with the ending. There was like a few twists. I think they are usually really predictable. I predicted, I think, 2 out of the 3 twists that happened in this book. And in the first book, I also predicted things. I did predict a lot of the things that happened in this series. But thankfully, there's one thing I did not predict at the very, very end of this book, and I actually really liked it. So I do want to continue it. I might maybe continue in December. That, you know what, don't quote me on that. But I do want to continue the series and give it a bit more of a chance. I'll give it like 1 more, maybe 2 books, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I did enjoy it. The ending was good. It was kind of like fine throughout the rest of the book. The next book was actually my library Lotto book. I was going to do a whole video on it. I have a whole hour-long video that I took of me pretty much just like talking about the entire book from start to finish and how I felt about it. It was a bit different of how I usually do library Lotto, but I don't know if I'm going to do library Lotto anymore as videos. I might still do it and choose a book every other month. I think I'm going to do it bi-monthly now, but I think I'm going to be choosing a library Lotto book. If you wanted to put numbers down in my wrap-ups, please do that so I can choose a book. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to do videos anymore, because like they are so much work and no one cares about them. So I just don't know. Okay, that's a lie. There are some people that do, and I appreciate you all. It's just like the amount of work, and it's always my longest videos, and it's always my most time-consuming videos, and like no one really watches them. So I might just choose library Lotto books and do wrap-ups every month and just talk about them instead. I think that's what I'm going to do from now on, at least for now, just so I have less, like I have more time to make other videos, but I still want to do them because I actually like love doing this. So if you want to put numbers down below, I'll put my video up here as to how to pick numbers. If you don't, I'm gonna do it myself anyway, so regardless, it doesn't matter. I might still put my video up. This is Letters to the Lost by Iona Gray. This was 3.5 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna talk too much about it here in case I do upload that video, but it was a historical fiction romance, I guess, written in like letter format from someone from the present tense reading these letters from the past, from the 1940s during World War II. I did enjoy this book. I liked a lot of the aspects of it. The ending made me cry a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. It got me a little emotional. I actually did enjoy it a lot. There's a lot of triggers in this book though. Like, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad actually. So I'm going to post my review. If I haven't done my review already on Goodreads, I will post it with all my trigger warnings on it from this book. That there are some in this book, surprisingly. But yeah, I did enjoy this book. It was my library Lotto book. So hopefully if I do upload the video, maybe I'll do it this month. It's like around an hour long without editing it. So I'm gonna try my best to just edit it down. If I do end up uploading it, I'll see. If I do this bi-monthly, I still might do videos for it. I just kind of had to see how I am in the month and how busy I am. The next book I finished was actually a book that I pretty much primarily finished in September, but I finished I think like the first week of October, and that is Eldest by Christopher Paolini. This is the second book in the Inheritance cycle. This took me like a while to read. This book was also boring. This is the second book after Aragon, and I didn't love Aragon, and I didn't love this book, but I will say one thing. I am reading Brissinger right now, and I'm actually enjoying it. So you know what? The third book is good. The first and second book, it wasn't great, you know, it wasn't great. But this book I actually thought was fine. It's 3.5 stars. As usual, the ending was a lot better than the beginning and like the middle area. I just not really attached to any of the characters in this book. I don't love Aragon's point of view. There's a secondary character who we also follow in this book, and I actually preferred his point of view a bit more. Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a drag for a lot of this book, similar to the first book, but I'm reading the third book now and I'm enjoying it a lot more, so I am going to continue the series, even though I haven't been loving it, but the third book has been getting better. So I have faith that I can finish it and enjoy it. I'm going to actually kind of just skip to my manga really quickly. I don't have them physically right now because I returned them from my library already. So I'm going to be showing you the 10th volume, even though I haven't read it yet. But the ones I'm going to be talking about are the 8th and 9th volume, and that is of Chainsaw by Tatsuki Fujimoto. And this is the 10th volume. Like I said, I haven't read this one, but I have read the 8th and 9th volume. And I think the 8th and 9th volume were the best volumes I have read so far in the entire series. This manga series has recently been adapted to an anime. I haven't watched it. I kind of want to just read the manga before I get to the anime. This is an ongoing manga series, and this series is weird, okay? If you want to watch more like in-depth talking and discussion about these books, Daniel Green, that's his name, right? I would feel so bad if that wasn't his name. He does like a full in-depth discussion of all the volumes separately, and I love watching them after I read the books. Coincidentally, I was just reading it as he started doing it, so like that was perfectly timed. But 8th and 9th volume are the best. The 9th volume especially was incredible. It was amazing. It was emotional. I read the ending and I actually wanted to cry a little bit. It was really well done, and I'm just sad because the ending of the 9th volume, I can't get over the ending of the 9th book, and I want to get to this one. It's a little bit weird, okay? It's a little bit weird. If you've never read manga or anime that's kind of like shonen, that's kind of like towards male audiences, you might be a little taken aback by this series. I was in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, but there are good aspects to it. I love a lot of the artwork and everything, so I am looking forward to continuing this and eventually getting to the final volume. It's ongoing still, so I do plan on eventually like getting to this point and stopping. But I do know what manga I'm going to be reading in December, and it's not going to be this. So I'm hoping I can finish this in November. A little doubtful on that. So I gave the 8th volume a 4.5 stars and the 9th volume a 5 stars. Amazing. I usually don't rate my manga, but they were so good that I just had to rate them. So my final 2 books are a 4-star and a 5-star. My 4-star book is Father Mine by J.R. Ward. This is the 5.5. I want to say it's like 5.5, book 5.5. In the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, this is a short story or like a novella that kind of stems off of from another book. I think might have been the 3rd book. Why am I so bad at this? They all are kind of similar, so they kind of jumble together. But this is a vampire romance series. It's a very long series, like 20 plus books in it so far. And yeah, this is a side book. Some people might not like this book. It involves like pregnancy and fatherhood and parenthood, and it was actually a pretty, I liked it a lot. It was very emotional in a sense as well. Similar to the other books, this also got me emotional. I don't know what's up with me in October. We just had an emotional month with our books. But this book was really sweet, and it follows, like I said, a couple from a prior book and kind of like what happens with them and their, you know, family, little family that they have. Obviously, I can't talk too much about it. This is like only 100 and something pages, so it's very short and it was very easy to read. I am looking forward to continuing the rest of the series. I don't know when I'm gonna get to them, but I hope for the best. I think my library actually has almost all the copies from now on, which is kind of insane. My Toronto library didn't have them, but my tiny place I live in now has them all. People in this area are wild. They like their vampire romance, I guess. I am looking forward to getting to the next book. I actually really like J.R. Ward's writing. It's really, really good, and I actually don't know how I'm continuing this series still, but I am, and I want to keep going. Honestly, I'm very, very interested in the characters. So yeah, I had a great time with this book. Looking forward to the next ones. When will I get to them? No idea. And my last book that I read for the month of October, which is my favorite book of the entire month, and actually one of my top of the entire year. This is my second 5-star of the entire year, if you don't count my manga, but this is my second full book that I have given a 5 stars to, and that is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This book was so good. It's like a sci-fi thriller book. This was my Sims choice for my October TBR, and I had such a fun time with this book. So I love this kind of trope. I'm not sure if it's called a trope. It's something that is put in books. I can't really talk about what books because it might be a spoiler, but this gives me very like BioShock Infinite vibes. It gives me a little bit of like Soma vibes. Those are video games, by the way. Sorry, I didn't say that. And I just like love that. That trope is one of my favorite tropes, and this book delves into it very, very deeply, and I am in love with it. BioShock Infinite is one of my favorite games of all time, and the way that that ended, I thought this would end in a similar way, but it didn't. Surprisingly enough, it didn't. This is about a man who has a family. He has a wife and a child, and before his wife and child, he actually was a very, well, he's always been a very smart man, but before them, he had all these plans to do these things, but his girlfriend at the time, who is now his wife, got pregnant, and they kind of had to put things on the back burner because they had to prioritize their child. So his life is a lot different than he expected it to be, but he's happy still. Like, he's happy having his wife with him. He loves his wife, he loves his son, so he just lives his life. And then one day, randomly, someone kidnaps him and he wakes up and his life is a lot more different. His wife is different. He doesn't know where his son is. It is a very like psychological thriller sci-fi book, and I loved it so much. I do want to read more from Blake Crouch. I know that I heard people say that once you read like one of his books, you'll probably enjoy it more than the other books because they're kind of similar in some regard. So I'm gonna probably wait a while, maybe like a year or so, before I read like Upgrade or anything like that. I'm probably going to wait a while. If there's any books that you think are similar to this and you want to recommend me, please do. I would love to add them to my want to read list on Goodreads because it's already long enough, but why not add more books, you know? Those are the 8 books I read in the month of October. I did a really good job with my reading in October. It won't be happening in November at all. But you know what? I had a really good time. I read a lot of good books. Not so good books, but mostly good books. And hopefully I will be doing more videos. I'm really hoping I put my Stephen King review up next. I might still do my Library Lotto one. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be uploading that still. It's becoming like the holiday season, so we're going to have a good time. Hopefully I'm going to upload when I can. I hope you're all ready for the holiday seasons, and I hope you have a great reading month. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here after so long, me not uploading. Hopefully I'll be feeling better soon as well. So happy reading, everyone. Have a great day, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Goodbye.